All right. Good morning, KW Prosperity. It is April 16th with Matt and Mary Beth. Good morning, Mary Beth. How are you?
Good morning, Matt. I am lovely. I feel very accomplished today. We had some great meetings
We did.
already. And
We had a great start to the day, and I'm looking forward to this conversation today because we finally shifted out of the 12 tactics. Yes, we're down to the home stretch. And today we're really going to be covering the gift of shift, which starts on page 271. So Mary Beth, if you want to kick us off by reading the quote at the top like we normally do, that would be great.
yeah, and so the reason I say we had a great morning already, though, is we're keeping our days like they were prior to Corona with a twist, and yet we found a new normal. And I hope by this time, because this is 3 weeks that you've been with us with our 11 o'clock slot, we are going to continue our 11 to 11:30 slot for as long as you still want it, and as long as we're here for sure.
Yeah.
And just finding the new normal. I feel a lot of us are being more productive than we were prior. So
Yep.
I just want to say that we've been doing a great job, and we just want to encourage others to find your new schedule. And Google Calendar has been wonderful to keep organized with all the Zooms, because I just put that link right in the location, and then I don't get confused. So just a little tip for some of you that are saying zoomed out, I don't know what Zoom I'm on.
Yeah.
I use the Google Calendar and I put the Zoom link right there. So to jump into the gift of the shift, which is the last chapter of the shift. Once again, Shift was written by Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, and Dave Jenks. And you can find tons of resources on Keller Inc., KellerInk.com. And you'll see under there's a tab for resources and books and all sorts of downloads that you could be sharing. And I encourage you to read along. If you haven't read the shift. So it starts with it's a twisted version of something that we're very familiar hearing. It says, God grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know that it's me. And that is so just what we're discovering a lot with our agent coaching and consulting is just get out of your own way. Let's create design a plan where you shine and you win, and lead generation and helping others and spreading the word about real estate and just checking in on people. And so get out of your own way and just get into action.
Well, one of the things, as you read that quote, I think it's really nice that parallels or comes full circle from where Gary started. When we started reading the shift book, the first quote that he used, which was by Brian Tracy, Brian says, "You cannot control what happens to you, but you can control your attitude towards what happens to you, and in that, you will be mastering change rather than allowing it to master you." And I think that that's really, everything comes full circle, because we talked in the beginning about mindset, then we talked about the 12 tactics, and now we're really kind of closing with the opportunity that you have in a shift. And ultimately right now with the coronavirus and the restrictions and all of that, it's something that we can't control. Yet how the activities that we're putting forward, like you're saying, keeping our calendars consistent, keeping plugged into everything, and being organized and being better prepared for when we come out of this is really critical. So it does come full circle in that regard.
So to that point, I love that you said focus on what you can control. We had a podcast club, like a book club yesterday, on Win, Make, Give, which is Ben Kinney's new podcast with Chad Hyams.
I saw that.
And yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. And I encourage you to jump on the book club or the podcast club. But one of the things that we did really go deep on was what are some of the things that we can control. So just to side note a bit is E plus R equals O. You cannot change the event. You can change your response or your reaction to ultimately affect your outcome. Yep. So E plus R equals O, and you're in control of the R. Yep. Okay. But what we did what we did decide on is that you can control your expectations.
Yep.
You can control what you eat.
Yep.
You can control your response and your reaction. E plus R equals O. Your activities you can control. What you read, what you think about. I choose to think about. I choose to read. People you are around, your environment, your inner circle, who you are receiving advice and conversation from, you can control, and your conversations. So those few things you absolutely can control. So to that point it's just a shift in how you decide to shift with it is going to ultimately decide what you look like on the out of this.
Well, do you want me to give you another equation? So you just gave an equation. So an
Yeah.
equation that Gary wrote on page 280 is it's thoughts plus actions equals results. So you have to first think what your goal is going to be and really set out as to what you want to achieve. Then it's actually putting the actions to it, and then you'll see the results. And one of the things that I just wanted to highlight, kind of what you were talking about and what really resonated with me in this chapter is ultimately acting your wage, and really saying that if you want to earn a certain amount of money, you have to live the lifestyle, and not necessarily the lifestyle, meaning the calendar of somebody earning that amount of money. So if you want to make $100,000, you have to have $100,000 calendar and the habits of somebody who's earning
Habits.
100,000.
You need
You want
if you
to,
want to be a $10 million producer, you need
correct.
$10 million habits. If you keep talking to me, telling me you want to do 10 million, and I look at your calendar and your habits, and it looks like a $2.5 million habit, well, that's what you're going to get.
Absolutely. And I think that was, something that Gary really brought in this chapter that I really liked, because I think a lot of people, Gary wrote there's people in his world that he, called somebody who, uh, on page 280, he says, I think you're a $50 million a year producer masquerading as a $10 million a year producer. And it really took that person aback. And I was like, wow, like, okay, like,
Yeah.
really what that meant is you have so much more potential. In Gary's eyes, that person has so much more potential than they were delivering on. And I think that's really powerful for everyone, especially in this time, is start getting your habits, start getting your activities, start getting your calendar where you want to go. Like, who do you want to be when all of this lifts? Like, you have a unique opportunity in this to be able to be who you want to be.
Yeah. So this time's lifted a bunch of excuses, right?
Yep.
The time, I don't have time for that. I can't fit that in my schedule. I don't, that has lifted a bit. So you don't have that excuse to hold on anymore. I challenge everybody. There's a lot of great stuff in here. Gary's very matter of fact in here, and then you also see a little soft side of Gary.
Yep.
So if we just dive in, if the first page of the chapter, which is 271,
Yep.
I highlighted down here. It says hard times aren't easy, hence the name. But you know what? Easy times aren't easy either.
Yep.
And life is a continuous challenge.
Yep.
So,
Well,
life is life.
absolutely. And I think one thing that I really liked in this chapter, and I know we're kind of skipping around, so I do apologize. One thing that I really liked was, and I don't know if I should read it or if people should just go to page 275, but when they talk about the farmer's luck and ultimately the good luck and bad luck story. And do you think I should read that, or do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think did I read it on the shift call, or did we read it on a mortgage call?
No, I think you read part of it maybe, but this,
Yeah.
yeah. So on page 275,
Go ahead.
you're right.
It actually goes perfectly with the chapter. So go ahead.
Yeah. So he writes, many years ago, there lived a farmer who toiled daily in his fields. One day, without warning, his prize horse, the one he relied on to work the land, ran away. When the news reached his neighbors, they arrived at his door to offer consolation. What bad luck, they said with concern. Maybe, answered the farmer. The following morning, the farmer awoke to find his prize horse had returned, and with it 2 wild horses. Upon hearing the news, the neighbors exclaimed, "What good luck!" "Maybe," replied the farmer. The very next day, while trying to tame one of the wild horses, the farmer's son was thrown and badly injured his leg. Again, the neighbors arrived quickly to offer their condolences. "Such bad luck," they said. "Maybe," answered the farmer. A day later, officials from the military arrived looking for young men to fight in battle. Recognizing that the farmer's son was badly injured, they did not ask him to enlist. Such good luck, shouted the neighbors. Maybe, answered the farmer. Um, and so that's the story on page 275. Uh, and that to me is really powerful because you don't know how one action or one thing in your life is going to spread out like the butterfly effect kind of.
Right.
You know, one decision or one thing or, you know, you don't always know it's going to be good luck or bad luck until it's happening. You really have to live in the moment.
Well, I mean, to share with that is, Gary speaks about the time of the last shift, and he shares a bit about that comment really hit, be careful what you ask for. He was home with Mary,
Mhm.
that they were able to spend more time with the dog. He says, even though in tough times there's so much to savor, our dog Max was getting up in age, but we were having a wonderful time with him. The shift would be over and he might be gone. Talks about his son, John. John was 16 and we loved having him with us. If the shift would be over, he might be in college and he would never live home again. And then he makes one more point, is that his mom was doing great, but she wasn't young anymore.
Yeah.
And the shift will be over and she might not be doing so well.
Yeah.
So I don't want this time also to just pass us by and we don't realize all of the sweet little fruits that can come from it. I know we've been talking about on a personal with our group things that are coming from it. And I think we just really need to look at the opportunities inside the market. Like Gary says, be careful what you wish for.
Mhm.
Everybody's wishing for this pandemic to be over.
Mhm.
Some of our mentors are predicting that even when it's over, we're still looking at a year, 2 years till we get back to an
Mhm.
an economy that we are used to. If that, things are changed, things are different forever.
Yeah.
Even to the point that, guys, we've been talking about how to be a little creative and still be able to service clients during this shift. The reality is, I doubt that you're going to go back completely to the way you used to do things. We've been doing things this way. We're now doing things this way. We're going to have some sort of compromise. Things that I think might stick are a buyer consultation.
Yeah.
I could talk to a buyer and their spouse who's at work on his maybe lunch break in a Zoom fashion to where they maybe can't meet on a Saturday afternoon, but we could get them really pre-qualified through Zoom meetings. We could maybe we don't even do listing presentations for every listing at the house. Maybe if you know the house and you can just present on Zoom, you do that and you do one final walkthrough to really come down to a price. So I do think that life has changed. We need to embrace it. If you're fighting it, let's talk, get on a call with us. I mean, reach out to us and say, I'm really struggling with everything that we were talking about these last 3 weeks. And we'd be happy to help. So, but do make no mistake, things are different.
Things are different. I think I just, one thing I do want to highlight that you said, and I just, I can't overstate it, is you do have to live in the moment. You have to appreciate every single day and every single moment, because when I hear somebody says, oh, I can't wait till we're over this, or, I can't wait till we're, through the shift and we're out of it and we're back on the other side and things are good. Yet you don't realize 2 years go by and life is so short, life is so precious. And I feel like now, like with the coronavirus and with, the numbers of people who have cases and who are dying and different things, it does make you just appreciate every single day, the day in, day
Yeah,
out, even just the minutia, whether it's just taking a walk and being grateful for the weather and just, just
absolutely.
nature.
You
It's
know,
important not to want to rush through things.
exactly. And it says he has an English proverb saying a smooth sea never made a skillful mariner, right? So I don't know, you want to get really good? Here's your opportunity to get really, really good. And as we've said before, it's really leveled the playing field because everybody's in the same situation. Everybody throughout the country. We are seeing some areas outside New Jersey and New York spike a bit.
Yeah.
So and it's moving and we can get caught up on that, or we can get caught up on our database and our communities and how can we pour into them right now that we
Yeah.
could be building the pipeline, creating urgency in buyers who can still buy, creating urgency in sellers who want to sell and potentially buy something right now, or have to sell because of job loss. There's still going to be a market for us. And I want to just share this, because as I've really been thinking about other industries, we are an industry that is not going to get as affected as some of these other industries. I mean, if we think back about when the cell phone came in place and it was taking pictures,
Yeah.
think about what that did for the film industry.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at Rochester, New York, that was Kodak land.
Yep.
Nothing. A lot of the industry devastated some of those areas up there because there just was no more industry for that. So film was gone. It was all digital. So I just want us to be grateful, because real estate is not going away. We have a commodity that people either live in or rent. They own or they rent because they live in it. So while people are still living on Earth, we will still have the need for houses. And so that should actually make you, as a real estate agent or business owner, real estate business owner, feel kind of comfortable that, all right, I just got to get through this time, position myself that I've earned some mind share when this is all over, that I was a company that was there for my people, for my community. I didn't go out of business. I was still available as a resource, and I helped. And even in the worst of markets, where we were selling 6 million homes, we went down to selling 4 million homes. I think, so the market is not going to disappear.
No.
It may weed out, it will weed out those who want to play in it and thrive in it, versus those who really are just sticking their toe in the water, and maybe if they can get a deal during this time. So that,
Absolutely. And I think a couple things that I just want to highlight, because one thing that you were mentioning, or kind of alluded to, I mean, right now you do have to be a little creative with where we're at in terms of being able to set yourself apart. So I just wanted to share two things. I was listening on a call yesterday that Jason Abrams was on with our regional director, Michael, and two things that he brought up that I like. One was more an idea that agents can do, and another was more just something to be aware of. First and foremost, one thing that he said was that he knows one agent who basically took their logo, stripped it of all the color, like, just made it like very black and white, and sent it out to their entire database and said, hey, have your kids color it, design the logo how they would want to see it, and then please post, I have a Facebook post, comment a picture of what they create. So this agent had like 200 comments of pictures of people who their kids like colored and redesigned the logo, repurposed it, and then so she was having really good interaction with her clients. So that was one thing that I got from the call that I wanted to share. And the other thing that he brought up, and I think it's very true, is that right now, like, I'm seeing you on Zoom and I'm seeing other people on Zoom, yet when I see you in the office, like, I can get a better feel for, if you're having a good day or maybe something's going on in your life. Like, you can kind of, we're only talking in 30-minute snippets. Like, we're losing the casual conversation of just checking in and saying, hey, Mary Beth, like, how are you? And one
Matt, can you order me the lunch?
Yeah, well, no, exactly.
And then we don't have that lunchtime together.
No, we need to plan for that, and what Jason said is that ramp up formal communication in the absence of casual communication. So, making sure that you're really having a pulse of your database and your clients. And if you're a rainmaker and a business owner, make sure you're talking to your leadership team. Make sure you're, because right now it's a very stressful time for a lot of people. Make sure that you're getting to the bottom of, you don't have the luxury of being able to see people physically and being able to necessarily feel that energy from someone, where if I saw you down a little bit, I'd be like, okay, I need to pour into Mary Beth a little bit more today to make sure that I give her a little bit more of, that kind of love and care. Whereas when we're just on the Zoom, you're not necessarily getting that. So one thing that Jason said was just make sure you're ramping up that kind of formal and care communication in the absence of the casual communication.
Well, and you have to think, like, I am very blessed in that even my church I encourage them to get on Zoom, and every night, basically, our pastor, and then we have our amazing elders are doing marriage ministry and fellowship, and Manza's doing youth on Zoom. So, a lot of people in my circle have adopted the virtual type of meetings. You have to imagine, though, in your sphere of influence, there's probably half of them that don't have a community like this. So I would imagine that you probably have maybe some depression setting in because of the lack of energy. Even this kind of energy through the digital world it's there, but there's got to be some people that aren't getting it, and we want to definitely check in and tap into our databases now, so more than ever. We've been on lockdown for what, like a month now.
Yep.
If we go into a whole nother month of that, now is going to be even more important that constant communication, purposeful, formal communication with our database is going to be crucial. And the people that we care about the most, a lot of times, and I'm at fault for this. And so if my mom and my sister are watching, I'm sure they'll jump right on there. We get kind of consumed with the work, and we have to take care of our office and our agents, and
Yep.
and so sometimes we put some family things on the back burner, and I'm just trying to be mindful, or I'm intending to be mindful to ensure that those relationships are also being taken care of. So
Absolutely. I mean, it's really critical right
mindful.
now to still be pouring into the people that you would normally be pouring into and not detach, which I think, can be the natural inclination right now. Uh,
So, on one of the last sections of this chapter, they mentioned Zig Ziglar, who is one of my favorites as
yep.
well. And just to kind of give a couple names, we're kind of at the last session, and tomorrow we're going to do ahas. So we're going to invite you to come on and just give us some ahas. Um, Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar,
Hmm.
is it Dennis Waitley? Kiyosaki,
Hmm.
John Maxwell.
Yep.
There are so many, Marianne Williamson. There's so many. You need to fill yourself with just great thoughts. And a lot of those people that I just mentioned, anytime I've listened or read on the podcast, I'm going to encourage you one more time that Win, Make, Give is a Ben Kinney, Chad Himes podcast. Win, Make, Give is excellent. And then, of course, Think Like a CEO.
Yep.
And Linda McKissick has her Everything Life in Real Estate. And I'm sure, I'm missing some, but
Yeah.
Bigger Pockets. There's just such amazing stuff out there that you could be listening to. There's no excuse that you would not be able to fill your day with a structured, like positive schedule. But Zig Ziglar says a big shot is a little shot that just kept shooting.
Yep.
And so just keep going, even if it doesn't feel like it's working. Matt and I right now are creating all this content, and hopefully you're getting value from it. But we also recognize that this is a really sweet time for us to build a library of
Yep.
timeless lessons that we can share generations of agents from now on, right? And so he ends that chapter with success never comes to the chosen few, but the few who choose.
Yep.
And so you, just like we started this chapter, are you in the way? Have you chosen? Are you living a life by design? And now is the time to get real honest with yourself.
Yep. Well, and realizing that you, as Gary says, you're gonna have to fail forward, and ultimately, one of the greatest myths is that you succeed your way to success, but the reality is you fail your way to success. So everybody fails. You just have to keep going, keep pushing, keep fighting, and keep going till you get the success. So don't get discouraged if you do struggle or you do have challenges or you are what you feel is failing. Realize that everybody who got to levels of high success had to fail their way to success.
That's right. That's right. You only get to see the pretty version. You didn't get to see the whole messy journey.
Yep.
And discipline your disappointments. That came from a great book called The Traveler's Gift.
I love that.
The Traveler's Gift is such a great book, and there's tons of lessons, but my favorite lesson in there is to discipline your disappointments. And you're often not disappointed by people. You're disappointed by the expectations that you put on people or the situation.
Yep.
That was your expectation. Now, if it was discussed and there's a set expectation among all parties and it doesn't happen, you have every right to be disappointed. But often we just get disappointed because we expected something from somebody or a situation and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
We weren't clear, or that person wasn't prepared, right? So
Absolutely. So do you have any parting thoughts? I mean, I think we covered pretty much that book really, truly, page by page, start to finish. We've got a nice catalog of videos for you guys to plug into. I know tomorrow we've got our ahas. So we'll share some of our ahas. We'll ask the audience, Facebook Live. We'll get some ahas and stuff like that. But we will post out the whole catalog to everyone.
So this right here, it's in the appendix, and it did show what happened.
That was the law of equilibrium.
It's not the law of it is the law of equilibrium, but it's after the shift, and it's showing what happened with the agent count.
Got it.
For National Association of Realtors, okay? And so, and it also, it's matching up to the available sales per person, okay? Available side sales per person. And it's real interesting in that it just shows, we're gonna lose members, right? You choose where you're gonna fall after this. Are you gonna be one of those that hangs the hat at the state? Or are you somebody that is preparing yourself for battle, that when this opens up and the kink gets out of the hose, like we've been saying,
yep,
you've got the mind share and you are the one that, the 5 people who need to move go and list their house. Because if you come out of this in even September, let's say, walking into September with 10 listings, 5 listings, you're going to be just fine. And right now, I'm going to encourage you even more so. Get creative. Think about doing some virtual open houses, even 15 minutes, 20 minutes, where your seller and you are on a Zoom and they're showing through the house, or if it's a vacant property, you're there. You got people doing watch parties so that you can get your seller's exposure. I think what also might happen with this is buyers are going to look at fewer homes, because they can do the research that they want. They're learning they could do the research that they want because we're providing them with much more marketing right now. And you probably will have more serious buyer appointments from this. So there's going to be a lot of sweet things that come out of this. I just encourage all of you to revisit some of these videos that we've done. They go along chapter by chapter. So wherever you feel you're stuck, just go and watch it. It's 30 minutes. And you know where to find us. If it's a year or 2 years from now, you can always reach out, and we'd be happy to coach and consult. We're not going anywhere.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mary Beth. So we will see you all again tomorrow at 11 to wrap up Shift.
Yep.
And then next week we'll get into something different at 11 a.m. But we'll definitely be keeping these 11 a.m. calls, as long as this lasts.
Yeah, we'll announce tomorrow what we're going to be doing for the next phase of the Mary Beth Matt show at 11 o'clock.
Stay tuned.
Okay. All right, Matt. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye.